As you can see, the Mongolian yurt is no more. We managed to take off the canvas, and now it's only a question of cleaning up this place. Some of the pieces we can reuse. We want to store everything that's red because it has been painted and it's an artisanal product. So we want to preserve this a little bit. Don't know whether or if we will reuse it, but that's at least the intention. And everything else will be taken out and is either trash or will be reused, like the wooden floor. And then, in this very same area, the Bermuda guys can also grow. And we have some seed that we will throw out later. And then the dog enclosure is taking shape. I still don't know how this flower is called in English. I really have to look this up. So in German, this flower is called Kokardenblume. And I put it there from seed last year, before autumn. And this is how it looked like. So it already has some flowers, more will come. And there are a few more here. And I also put this somewhere here in the back. There you can see it. It's a bit tucked away and a bit smaller, but it does exist. And you can also see that the Palovnia trees are now making their leaves, because now it is warmer and they like this better than the early spring that turned into frost a couple of weeks ago when they suffered. So they're about to come back, which is good. And just today, Angel and I have been thinking about how we do the irrigation. And we will use this hole that you can see there to get out 12 lines and then go down and bury them somewhere there. There will be a box to connect the PE pipe that is outside, so basically, yeah, the PE pipe, the hose, the black one, to the PVC that is then inside, and you will see the Rainbird installation soon. I have to order the device first. I'm about to do that, but for the time being we can do this manually, or at least advance it. And then we will have irrigation in here that is also automated. And I ordered a few additional trees. They are cypress tree. So in the US I think it's called the Italian cypress. So it's the one for the Mediterranean. And we want to put this in certain areas as a windbreak. I'm not there where we are about to plant this, but when they have arrived, we will keep them in our now existing nursery, and then we will plant them. It's going to be 30, and this is to protect the Palovnias that we are going to plant next year. So we don't want to run any risk that next year in spring we will then lose them. So we have the cypress trees first as a windbreak, and then we put the Palovnia trees. You see what happened here. So this is the safer bet. There are still other things that we can do, and one of these things is infrastructure here in the farmyard. So for example, this is going to be a green driveway at some point. So we certainly are busy until autumn comes with all kinds of things here. So there's no shortcoming of things to do. And if anyone wants to come and help, you are more than welcome. There are plenty of things to do of different types. You can go to Caimito.eu and see what we have in that list of projects. Some of them is what we are going to do, and more we certainly will find. There is absolutely no shortcoming of any work that we might have to do. That also includes to put a concrete slab here for a water tank that will then be used in the farmyard for irrigation and all kinds of things. So if you are interested in a walking vacation, let me know. There are plenty of opportunities for you to make yourself useful and help us out. So thank you if you are interested. So I am here in the middle of the Miyawaki forest. It's not our intention to do this frequently, but on this occasion it was necessary because I am changing 2 of the sensors. Now that we had to use 4 sectors for irrigation because we don't have enough flow, to put it that way. We only have some 2,500 liters per hour. High pressure, but still only that amount. We had to divide the wobblers into 4 sectors. And now that we have 4 sectors, the idea is to have a sensor for each sector. So this one here is 1 sector, and I changed it to be on the surface now. So here you can see it. It was buried before. And while I'm here, I can also show you something else. So a couple of people have asked about things starting to grow and overwhelm the young plants. So yes, there are a few things that grow, but they will not overwhelm anything because this place is dominated by annual species and they are done with their cycle. So there is no risk for that. But there's something else, and that's very positive. What you see there, these things there, that is Bermuda grass, Cynodon dactylon. And that is a perennial grass, and it belongs to this area. It is a native. So now that the soil is loose and seed from this plant are in the seed bank, with the additional moisture through our irrigation, this is now growing, and it's a heat-loving plant. So that means in summer this will grow, but nothing else, or not a lot else. So with some luck, this will be additional ground cover. And so when the next spring comes, we may have a lot of this already established. And then, of course, the other plants should also be taller and be on top of it. So that is basically the idea. And don't you worry at the moment that we might lose our Miyawaki forest due to excessive growth of other things. The idea is that this Miyawaki forest becomes very dense very early on, and so not a lot of other things are able to grow, because they will all fight for light, and that's the whole point of the Miyawaki method. Hello, it's been a while that there has been an update. Things are going a little bit slower now that other things also require attention, things that cannot be shown in a video. Doesn't mean Andrel and I are dormant, but there are things that we can't easily show. So there is less footage to show, but we are still doing things. So it is 28 centigrades right now. It is not the hottest part of the day just yet, but you can definitely say that summer is around the corner. Summer means it's 25 degrees. And I am on my way to change the irrigation for the Miyawaki forest. And as I do that, I will then also show you how it looks like. And I think we should also talk about the things that might grow given that there is irrigation. So let me open this valve here first. So this now opens sector 2, and this here will then turn off sector 1. So this is now the second sector, and I am almost getting wet here where I'm standing. So 2 meters ahead, and I definitely would be getting wet. So here you see the Miyawaki forest. Let's see if this holds me so I can go up a little bit higher. So this is the drier part. Moisture content is slightly above 20%, which is okay. And you can see that the plants that we set here, they are growing. In the previous clip, I showed you Cynodon, the Bermuda grass. So now that the pressure has stabilized, by the way, here where I am, I'm getting a few drops. So that's okay. So this is how far it blows when the pressure is right. These things are now supposed to have a circle of some 13 meters, and I think we're getting that. And we had to split this whole irrigation system, so please note, into 4 different sectors, because the flow of our pump is not able to provide more water than 2,300 liters per hour, and that is not enough to drive over 20 wobblers. We have now a maximum of 13, and that is what this second sector is made of. So let me show you a little bit more. So let me pen down, and you see that whatever we planted is growing. There are a few things in between. For example, there it appears that there is something else, but that's okay. So here and there, a little bit of what was there, or the seed that was there, that's perfectly fine. It's supposed to be ground cover, but I do not think that this will overwhelm it. We should go there. There it does look a lot greener. Let's see what grows there. And for doing that, no, I don't have to go in. I can do it from that fence line. So see you there in a moment. And as I walked over there, I can show you, before I leave this area, here the neighbor's land. That is the land where the tractor guy also wants to do something. He told us he is about to make hay suddenly people in this area are making hay. They did not used to do this. They did not used to do this. But instead it was all ranching. But apparently a lot of people sold their bovines. And because of that, they are now trying to make money by selling hay. So that is their thought. And of course the good rainfall in spring is facilitating that, because there is a lot of forage that has not been grazed, and now they're trying to make some money by selling all that. So basically there isn't really a plan or a way of doing things. It's just that people do whatever helps to make ends meet. This is perfectly valid and normal. But when you are trying to restore something and really get it to work again, then you might take a different approach. And that is the difference between them and us, because we are not trying to make a living, but instead we want this place to come back to its former fertility and glory for a nice surrounding, and then maybe find a way to build a business within the limits the land is giving us. That's a huge difference in attitude and approach. But of course, if you have no other source of income, you definitely have to do whatever makes you money. So nothing against it, but just so that you know. And you see that things are definitely drying out, because there hasn't been any rain since the very last time. I actually don't recall when the last time was. So it's been a long time. And now here I am on the other side, where I wanted to show you how the Miyawaki forest looks like. So let's peek over the fence and let's have a look. So there is some green stuff growing between. I see there a few grasses. I see something else that I cannot identify, but it's not clover. It is something else. I also see this there is making flowers. So that is freshly planted and it is making flowers, so that's good. That over there looks like ragwort, so that is also there, and it's coming up. It's a summer plant. And what else can we identify over there? It looks a bit greener. So here we have the same combination like over here. So if I'm not completely mistaken, the one with the purple flower, that's vetch. And of course we have it in here because it grew there, and of course there, where we did not plant, where the oak tree was standing, of course it is also there. And there I see a larger patch of Bermuda grass. So that's all perfectly fine. And like I explained, you can mulch in order to suppress the growth of something else, but then you have to mulch pretty thick. And if you don't, then things still are coming through it. And mulching very, very thick, yeah, it's an option, and we probably would have done that, but there was no mulching material available. Now it is, because now the wheat harvest has happened and there is now a lot of straw available, but now it's too late. There wasn't any straw left from last year, so we could not buy any mulch, and the option of mowing all our fields wasn't really there, because we don't have the equipment for doing so, and manually that would have taken a long time, and with the people available that was not feasible. But we are irrigating, and as you can see, only heat-loving plants are now coming up, and that's a good thing. And maybe when summer is really there, so when the temperature has risen to 35, even those will then die off. So I don't expect any plant to overwhelm what we have planted. And if the only thing that grows here is Bermuda grass, then that is greatly welcome, because it is lacking. It has been grazed to extinction in the past, so it is a very good thing if that is able to establish itself here. So far I don't see any issues. Things are working well, according to plan, so to say. So I am happy with our Miyawaki forest, the way it is developing. And we are trying to keep the soil moisture around 20%. According to research and conversations, that is how it should be over the summer. So we're trying to keep it around that value. And what I can also explain is that the sensors, like this one there, they have moved a bit. So 2 have been moved. We are now not measuring below surface at 20 centimeters depth as before. We only have 4 sensors, and I don't intend to buy more. They are expensive. But instead we measure the moisture in the upper layer. So basically the sensor has some forks that are about that long, so maybe 10 centimeters, plus the body of the sensor itself. So we don't have to go very deep. We just stick it in as much as possible. And that is then the upper layer. So let's say the first 15 centimeters. For the others before, we dug a hole. And the hole was 20 centimeters below. And then we stuck it in. So we are much lower than 20. Or we were. Now we are only measuring at the surface. And that is where the freshly planted things will find their moisture. They will make deeper roots later. So right now we are providing the moisture that allows them to establish themselves. And that is what we want at this point. So this was my report here from the Miyawaki forest. And I'm now about to drive to a gate where I want to install a sensor that tells me if the gate is open or closed. LoRa is great, but I also learned that there are some limitations. As with every other radio-based things, it needs line of sight. And the sensor at the entrance to the farm is below the line of sight. We raised the gateway with the antenna, and it is now at the highest point we can get it. So like the access point from the OIT Cortijo, it is now up there, but it still does not reach the sensor. That sits pretty low because the terrain goes down. So I'm now going to a higher elevation, and I believe there this should work. But that also means it requires another gateway somewhere closer. And to install another gateway, it means that I have to establish another radio link using Wi-Fi, different technology, to that other gateway, or else the gateway cannot communicate to the internet, which is required. So that would be disappointing. And the moment I establish a long-range radio link, a Wi-Fi link, to that place down there at the entrance, I can as well put a camera there, instead of just having a sensor that reports if the gate is open or closed. Because with a camera, of course, I get a lot more information. So there are options and challenges. And like I said, some of these things, they cannot easily be put in a video unless you make it something like a tutorial. And I don't have the bandwidth for that. I have to do other things because I also have to make ends meet. And that is doing other things. So I'm going to drive up there, and I show you how it looks like up there.